am happy that the Houston Rockets have stood pat thus far in free agency. I don't know what they really could have done because they're over the salary cap. But since they're under the luxury tax, they actually did have the ability to give out a mid-level exception contract of about $12.9 million to anyone. But it doesn't seem like they're going to add anybody. And when you really think about it, it doesn't make that much sense to add anybody, given that they are returning 10 players. And there isn't one of these 10 players that you look at and say, ugh.
Yeah, and you add Shepard to it.
Reed Shepard is the 11th.
Who do you add that replaces these guys? Well, it almost has to be someone of Paul George's quality, of Klay Thompson's quality, where if you're like, we're going to sign someone.
Two totally different tiers, by the way.
Like, they have to be a very good basketball player, or at least once a very good basketball player. You're not bringing in, no offense, to Derek White. Derek White's, what's he doing on this roster right now? You're not taking away minutes from your young guys for Derek White, who I like in Boston, I wouldn't like here. You know what? I mean? Yeah. I don't know.
What are you talking about? You wouldn't take Derek White here?
I like, not right now. Like, I would prefer.
What?
Yeah, not right now.
That is insane.
No, I want to give.
That is insane.
No.
He was so good in the playoffs.
He was, but I don't want to take away minutes from the young guys for a team.
I would. F them. They can all kick rocks. I'd cut them.
You want
tomorrow?
I mean, that's a big contract.
That's a clutch player. Yeah, it's worth it. Look, you got Fred VanVleet on the books. Okay, if you replace Fred VanVleet immediately with Derek White.
Well, I mean, if that was the option, then yes. But Derek White comes in and he takes away like Jalen Green.
Well, he wasn't even an option. To be clear.
Yeah, what are we talking? I walked out of the room. All of a sudden, I wouldn't want Derek White on the team.
No, I'm just saying, like, you're not like
who wasn't available.
Like, if they were going to sign a player, it'd be of Paul George's name and contract.
But you also mentioned after Paul George,
Klay
Thompson, right?
Yeah, he's going to get a $200 million contract. I wouldn't.
You think?
Doesn't it feel like Orlando's going to give that to him?
Orlando gave KCP.
Dallas?
They gave KCP. Dallas and the Lakers are what's been reported as the two place spots.
At least $150 million. It sounds like.
I know he looked better down the stretch, but man, that's a lot. I feel like Thompson should get what James Harden got, which is 2 years and $70 million. That makes a lot more sense to me. But hey, the NBA is crazy. People are throwing stupid money out there. But the Rockets have stood pat. The one thing I would have liked to see, and this would involve the mid-level exception, but you can't do it because Fred VanVleet's on the roster. I would have actually liked to see Chris Paul here. I don't know if Chris Paul and Ime Udoka would have gelled together, but if I could have anyone as a point guard, I'd want someone who's a hard ass. I'd want somebody who's going to be in this locker room, and even if he is abrasive to some, I think that this young team could use more and more of that.
Yeah, I think that's why he's a really good fit in San Antonio.
Yeah, it's a nice move. That's a nice move.
They're not going anywhere, but you know, if Wemby is the guy that everyone talks about, and like they could be competitive next year, and Chris Paul just helps that.
I don't know if he's the same player he was when he was in OKC a couple of years ago, but it's sort of similar from a timeline perspective. You bring in a guy like that to a young team, and I think it just keeps you from potentially turning into Philadelphia. So I like this move. That you're not going to have a bunch of people, you know, basically on a Steven Silas kind of recess like the Rockets were the last couple of years. You mentioned Paul George. Paul George is going to Philadelphia, 4 years and $212 million. Philly also gave Tyrese Maxey a 5-year, $204 million extension. I saw some people talking about how this is the best big three in the NBA. I will say this from the Celtics fan perspective. I am laughing at Philadelphia's desperation to try to stay in the same conversation as Boston and New York.
Yeah, like I get why Philly did it, because you need to improve the roster.
It makes them better for sure, but how much better?
Like marginally?
Yeah.
To be honest, like
I don't know that Paul George is still that Paul George. I still think he's a good player, but I don't know that the contract that they just gave him says, yeah, he is worthy of being Joel Embiid's Robin. And I don't know.
Because Maxey's still there. Maxey's really the Robin.
Yeah. It's like a third banana, occasionally second banana is really, or I guess they're both like the second and a half banana. They spend time, Maxey and PG, being one night, one guy can be the second banana, the other guy, it just kind of depends on, I mean, at this point in their career, it depends on whether Paul George is like kind of up to it. It's a 4-year deal that really it's a 2-year deal. it's hey, well, the last 2 years might get ugly, but for the Sixers, the next 2 years is the only thing they have to really worry about.
Okay.
Because if it doesn't go well in the first 2 years, like, what are we talking? At that point, now you're looking at Joel Embiid being 32. So, like, it is something where you give him the contract just to get him in the door, and hopefully you make a finals, win a finals, and you can be okay with the last 2 years of that deal being awful. Because he's gonna make like $60 million.
Yeah, I do get why they did it. I don't know what their other options were.
Yeah, their other
how
options.
else do you get better in the NBA besides doing something like this?
Their other options was to bring back the team they had last year and use that money on Nick Batum and Buddy Hield, and they actually did bring back Kelly Oubre. And
Daryl Morey re-signed one of the 15 players in the NBA that he really loves, Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon.
76ers now.
Aaron Brooks is waiting by his phone for the phone call.
Yeah. I think Philly should have gotten Isaiah Hardenstein, especially you get him away from New York, you put him on another team. Now OKC getting him, that's of all the moves that happened today. OKC's got so many good defensive players now.
I kind of like OKC. Probably they might be the best team. They're at least the top 2 team in the West again next year.
Yes.
With a much better chance to have success in the playoffs.
No doubt. I think you expect continued improvement from them.
But adding Caruso and Hartenstein?
Yeah, I mean, geez, the defense that's going to be pretty scary. I think in defensive efficiency, Hardenstein was 2nd, Alex Caruso 4th, SGS was 14th, Chet Holmgren was 37th.
They still have Dort.
Yep. Yeah.
I keep forgetting that they have Dort still.
That's a scary team.
Jalen Williams, the Ford Jalen Williams is a good defender too. So yeah, they're going to be awesome. The Nuggets probably will be back in that same area.
Going after Russell Westbrook? Is that for real? For real?
Apparently so. Reportedly, Nikola Jokic is pushing for it, which I always love it when
for Westbrook.
Yeah,
I don't buy that for a second. He is at a horse race right now.
Yeah, but
drunk off his ass.
They need to replace KCP on the cheap, and my guess, and I think Reggie Jackson too. So if you think of him more as like, hey, he's replacing Reggie Jackson as the backup point guard who plays 15 minutes a game.
Okay,
yes,
that's like more okay. If you're gonna put Russell Westbrook with anyone in the league, putting him with Jokic probably is the guy you would pick, as far as, hey, it's a way to tell Westbrook, like, no, we'll play with him having the ball, the best player in the league, and you just cut around him and he'll find you.
Yeah.
But if you can get him to buy into that, which I imagine if Westbrook is like, yes, trade me to the Denver Nuggets, he's okay being a role player, I'd imagine. He's definitely not starting, or probably not starting.
I don't know if we have enough time to get into this. Did you see the news that Woj broke right as the show was starting?
No, I didn't see that.
So we obviously know Mark Cuban just sold the Dallas Mavericks. Mm-hmm. The Boston Celtics majority ownership group has decided that they are making their franchise available for sale. Is there something going on in the NBA where these owners are bailing? It seems odd to me that you win a championship and then your first move is like, hey, we're out of the business here.
The TV negotiations must not be going the way that they thought they would. Yeah. Because and it does make sense.
They already signed the deal.
I mean, yeah, but
they already signed for like 3 times the last deal.
I wonder if it's the local TV deals that they're worried about. What's happening in baseball? Like,
yeah, that would make sense.
If these RSNs or whatever, Bally Sports, all those, if like they're in real trouble and something weird's happening. Because I just find it odd that Mark Cuban, who's a very intelligent businessman, like bails on the Mavs, and then now the Celtics are, who they're buying, they're being part of other ownership groups, are now saying, hey, we kind of want out too.
It's the contracts that they're giving out. I think that they're all looking at these and they're like, can we really do this? How much longer can we do this?
I mean, it's literally like the contract. What are you talking? It's like literally you have to split the money evenly with the players. So the player salaries going up is directly in concert with the owners making more money.
Yeah,
it's not like they're just spending more. Like
I get what you're saying from that perspective.
And they also
that
put
the viewership is not lining up with the amount of money that they are paying for all of these rights deals and stuff. And
they're getting paid the money.
I understand that.
Okay, you screwed it up though.
Well, okay, cool. What I'm trying to say here is that they probably realized that, like, wait, so all this moving up, yes, we're getting more money in the future, but the people watching is not lining up with this increase. So that does scream that maybe this is not going to continue in the way that they think it will.
Yeah, like a bubble's about to burst. Because that's been a theory for a while, that like the sports bubble outside of the NFL will burst.
We get out while it's good, I guess. You know,
but to me, it's weird because they just signed, like they signed for a decade 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and
like it's very recently that they signed a massive deal.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Cuban gets out before the deal happens. They're getting out. They're all about to make like $80 million at a minimum from expansion, if not way more than that when they expand by 2 teams. I just find it interesting that like all of a sudden, as all these NBA players in the last 24 hours less are making so much money, you've got the team that just won a championship is like, we're good.
Well, I also think it's funny that he's signing all the, like, they just signed, they re-signed Drew Holiday. They re-signed Derek White today.
Yeah.
They are going to sign Tatum to a massive contract. They already have Brown on a massive contract. It does feel like a little bit of, I'm going to sell now before I have to break up the championship team, and I'll let the next owner be the guy who Boston fans hate for breaking up the championship team. I'm not going to do what the Red Sox did.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And you're right in that the Celtics probably will not be as valuable as they are right now in the not too distant future. A couple other deals really quickly. James Harden staying in LA 2 years, $70 million, and Kevin Porter Jr. is back in the NBA. He joined the Clippers as well. Yeah, that one is crazy to me. Anyway, apparently he did well in Greece.